Hello and welcome back to Antique Central. Before we start, I hope you had a great Christmas and I'd like to wish you all a Happy New Year for 2024. My name is Mark and I buy and sell antiques, vintage and collectibles on my antiquecentral.co.uk website, and you should see the URL somewhere down below. Now, in this week's video, we're going to look at some of the new stock I've acquired recently, and also at the end of the video have a look at some of the stock that has sold recently to give you an idea of what is selling and the sort of prices I'm achieving. But before we start the video, there's a little update to my business. Now, those subscribers and viewers that have followed me from the start will know I buy and sell a lot of wood and metal items. But with the scrap price of metal nowadays getting very high, it's becoming increasingly difficult to acquire stock at the right price to then sell on it at a profit. So whilst I'm still going to continue doing this, I'm actually going to, I probably should have a drum roll for this because you know my thoughts on glass and ceramics. Well, I'm actually thinking of starting to sell glass and ceramics again. Now, I've done it in the past, and over the years I've sold quite a lot of items, but when I used to ship with Hermes, a lot used to get damaged, to be honest. It's fragile by nature, glass and ceramics, so I've steered clear of it. But I think I need to expand my portfolio of stock on the website, so I am actually going to start buying and selling glass and ceramics once again. I ship with Royal Mail and Parcel Force, and so far they've been very good, so fingers crossed, you know, there'll be little or no damage. Anyway, the second major change to the business will be I'm going to start selling internationally again. Now, I used to do this when I sold on eBay through the global shipping program, but and to be fair to eBay, that was a really good system. It looked after all of the international shipping and the documentation. So I'm going to have to do that now as I sell on my own website. It'll be a bit of a learning curve, but I'm going to give it a go and see how we get on. At the end of the day, if it's not working out, I can always just stop doing it. So, you know, what have I got to lose? A couple of pieces of stock. So let's head down to the studio and we'll take a look at some of the new acquisitions that are now listed on the website, and then at the end of the video we'll take a look back in time at some of the items I've sold recently. Right, here we are down in the studio, and I've got about half a dozen items I can show you of recent acquisitions. But before we do that, a quick drink. Good. Nice. Right, we'll start off with this money box, antique, turn of the century, probably around the 1920s period. It's an oak veneer with a brass coin slot in the top. And it screws in the bottom. So when I say a money box, it could be a collection box from a church. It's a lovely little item. It's in good condition considering it's a functional item. And apologise for the noise in the background, that's my phone. And yeah, it's nailed. It's scratch built, I think, to be quite honest. And as I said, screws at the bottom. I'm not going to undo them all. That just gives you access to the interior for what I'm beginning to think is a church collection box or a donation box. And I'm asking, done my research, seen similar items online. I'm asking £35, including the shipping. And don't forget, I know I keep banging on about this, but all my prices include shipping to the UK mainland. As I said earlier in the video, I am going to start shipping internationally again. That's a whole new world of shipping charges. So any prices at the moment on the website are for or include shipping to the UK only. So that's first up, a nice little oak veneer collection box. Next up, and I'll try and mix it up a little bit, we have a silver plated, and I think it's a Seba chamber stick. Now, Seba were one of the, or still are one of the leading silver plating manufacturers in the world, certainly in the UK. And this is a typical example of a silver plated, very ornately cast, I guess. This is cast, I would have thought. Chamber stick. Now, price-wise on these, they don't go for a great deal. I think I've got, including shipping, £25 on this. Plenty of them online. So on my website now, there is a make an offer option as well on each of the product pages. So you could make an offer on any of these items. It always happens, doesn't it? That noise in the background. You see, you're getting loads of messages come through. Should have muted it, but hopefully that's the last one. Okay, next up, again, mixing them up. So it's a different selection of items and it's not just all wood or all metal. We have two silk on paper, Chinese or Japanese, don't know yet, just need to do a little bit more research. Dressed figures. So the actual figures themselves, they are antique. The actual figures themselves are card or paper. As you can see on the back there, you can just see it looks like they've been lacquered. And then they're dressed in silk clothing. So all the clothing is silk. And the hair is actual real hair. Yeah, there you go. So here we have a male figure. And he's clearly got a sword on his back. So I don't know. I don't think he's a samurai, but possibly, who knows. And then we have a female figure. And I've got two pairs of these. And I'm asking £60 for the pair. Antique silk Japanese figures. I'm not going to show you the other two because they're very similar in the interests of time. You can see them on the website, of course. So, yeah, asking £60 for the pair and two sets, two pairs, and that includes shipping. So, a bit different for me. As I said, I'm trying to expand the portfolio a little bit and trying to mix it up and get away from purely wood and metal. Right, the next item, well, three items are all metal. And they are solid brass door knockers. They are antique, or at least early 20th century. And there are three of them. I am selling them individually. A bit difficult to show you. I'll probably have to show you each one at a time. Solid brass, and they've all got a story behind them in terms of the imagery on them or the design. And this first one, yeah, this one's of a house in Chester. As you can see, it's a door knocker. Providence House in Chester. So you can look that up, you can Google that. I'm not going to go into what all that's about, again, in the interest of time. Fixed to the door with screw holes or with screws. And I'm asking individually for these £30 each. Again, I've done the research and that's including shipping. That's £25 is roughly around the going rate for these. So that's the first one, Providence House in Chester. The second one is Trusty Servant. And this is a representation of an iconic image and a painting in a famous school. And the actual character itself, the Trusty Servant, is made up of different animal parts. And each of the animal parts represents a virtue that the schoolboys were expected to live up to. That's my understanding. Correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the school. But yeah, that's a painting, and I think it's something outside the kitchen, I think, in the school, hanging on the wall. And again, good little door knocker. Interesting door knocker. A bit more interesting than your solid brass modern versions you get. And the final one is a representation, I think it's a northern or possibly Scottish, I think. Anyway, it's a hunting scene of a guy called John Peel. And I think he was a famous huntsman up north somewhere in the UK. Possibly Scotland. Again, let me know in the comments below. When it's listed, it will all be researched, looked up, and it'll all be correct, factually correct. So £30 each for those, including shipping. And there are 3 of them. Okay, next up we have a pair of, now these are quite interesting actually. These are obviously candlesticks or candle stands, and they have the original brass inserts, and I think someone has obviously wasn't me, but someone has stuck these green felt pads on the base, which is fine. I suspect they may have had complete green bays on the bottom, and that's worn off over time, and they've just basically replaced them with these 3 pads on each of the candlesticks. Now, these are interesting because of the design of them. They've got an Art Deco look, haven't they? But I think they're after, in my opinion anyway, and correct me, well, it's correct, it's all opinion, isn't it, at the end of the day. But if you think I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments below. But I think these are probably just after the Art Deco period, that kind of 1940s period. So coming out of the 30s, which is the classic Art Deco period, sort of 1929 to 1939, and then just pre-war, you know, finished just at the start of the war. And I think these were probably made in the 40s. So they've got that Art Deco look to them, but I think they're a little bit afterwards, that kind of transition period into the through the war period and into mid-century. So yeah, and these are oak, solid oak with the original brass inserts. And yeah, what am I adding for? Oh yeah, I'm asking £45 for these, including shipping. Again, you can make an offer if you're interested. Great, fantastic condition. Got these at an antiques fair, so got them good for a good price. Right, next up we have a German, so this is a West German ceramic fat lava vase, and it's called fat lava because of the design. It looks like lava, basically, simple as that. Now I bought this, where did I get this from? It was part of a house call I did. I may have featured this on a previous video, but I've only just listed it. And the reason I like this is because of that flash of that kind of orangey colour there, which lifts it out from all the creams. I know this is cream and brown, but with that flash of orange, it lifts it out of all the overall cream and brown vases that you see. And you can pick those up quite cheap because they're not attractive colour. What you want when you're looking for these German vases is a flash of colour or a lot of colour. Orange in particular is popular at the moment, red. But I've got a kind of halfway house here really with this orange flash as part of the fat lava design. And price wise, including shipping, which will be a little bit more because the box will have to be bigger, I'm asking £45, which probably means I'm asking about £35 if you take shipping into account. Shipping wise, I touched on it earlier that I am going to start selling glass and ceramics again now. And I would pack this by bubble wrapping it in the in a lot of bubble wrap. Then I'd wrap it in cardboard, and then I would put some void fill in a box and drop this in, so you've kind of got an air cushion between the outside of the box and the cardboard wrapped vase inside. And that, hopefully with fragile tape wrapped all around it, that should do the job. And tempting fate now, of course, but I'm hoping that will arrive at the customer's house intact. No damage to it. And as I said, I'm asking 45 including shipping, so it's probably about £35 if you take the shipping off. And it's Bay ceramic. It's not Bay ceramic is the manufacturer. So there you go, nice little mid-century German fat lava vase. Next up, we have a pair of, this is unusual for me again. There we go. And I think these are well, they're not wood. So they are a form of plastic, really. And again, all the details will be on the website. They've got that kind of 1950s look to them, although I don't think they're that old. I just think they're decorative, they're attractive. Came as part of a house call. Again, I may have shown you these on a previous film, but I've only just listed them. They are both freestanding, so you can stand them up on a shelf, which is what they were doing when I went round to the house. I just thought, yeah, decorative, different, colourful, and I just snapped them up for not a great deal, but they're not really worth a great deal, to be honest. I think I'm asking for the pair, including the shipping, £35. I think I'll probably get an offer in around £20 to £25 for them, which I would probably take. So there you go, if you're interested in these. Yeah, and no maker's mark on them or anything, so I couldn't tell you where they're from. Yeah, pair of tropical fish. Okay, last up, I think, again in the interest of time, is this inkstand. Now, there you go. It's got its lids on hinges, and it's got its original ink pots, which are metal. Now, I've seen these on the interweb net being sold as brass, because they have got that kind of brass finish to them, but they're not brass. They are a white metal of some description. They're an alloy. I've done them, it's very easy to tell. Go and check out my how to identify brass, bronze, copper video that I made earlier, a year or two ago. And the most simple test is a magnet. And this has magnetic properties, so it's not brass, copper, or bronze. It's a white metal with and it's had a brass effect, or even possibly a bronze effect finish applied to it. No great age. I did wonder at one point. Now I'm not sure about these. I'm trying to do this with that. So you can see there. I almost wondered whether that was Masonic. You see the hand gripping the rod. Not entirely sure about that yet. Again, I might do a bit of research on that. But it's an interesting piece. It's in a little desk tidy, isn't it, really? It's you can put your paper clips and whatever other bits and pieces that you want to do just to keep your desk tidy on it. And if you do still write with ink, of course, you've got your inkwells. So, value-wise, what have I got on that? I'll just check it. Yeah, I've got £45 including shipping, so probably around £35 when you take shipping into account. Again, I've done the research on the internet and that's sort of the going rate, really. But I am slightly interested in these little hand grips at the end. The more I'm looking at those, the more Masonic they look, but could be completely wrong. Any masons out there, let me know what you think. I might be talking, I don't know, might be completely wrong. So let me know, and I'll just show you another close-up of it. There you go. So there's the hand gripping this rod, and I just wondered if it was Masonic. Right, we're back up in the office now. So let's take a look at some of the items I've sold recently. I'm not going to dwell too long on these because you can actually still view them on the website, because all my items that are sold remain as a listing on the website, but with zero stock. So we're on the store page now, and we can scroll down. I'll try not to make you seasick with all the scrolling. And you can see some of the stock that I've got on. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to dwell on this at all. So we'll have a quick look for a few seconds at some of the stock I've got, and then we'll look at what's been sold. So some nice stock, in my opinion. Only buy what I like as a rule, and what's selling, of course. So we start off with a bronze Jardinier planter, Japanese, £140. That's a parat, they call it a parat bowl that they used to make chapatis on, I believe, in the Middle East or Southeast Asia, India, that sort of region. And an interesting cast aluminium, what would you call that? A set of deer antlers, but cast in aluminium. Now, let's go down and look at some of the sold stock. Obviously, it'll be slightly older than the stuff that's recently been listed. Feel free to go and browse the website at your leisure, and you can open up, as I'm going to do now, the items that are currently listed and that have sold. So here we have an Antiques Arts and Crafts hardwood letter stand or desk organizer. Now, this wasn't sold for £25. It was actually sold as a job lot to a subscriber at just before Christmas. You know who you are if you're watching, so thank you very much for that order. There was about 12 items in that order, and in my opinion, the items that were chosen were really high quality items. So there's this little arts and crafts. So this would be turn of the century, that kind of 1880 to 1930 period, roughly. Handmade oak and useful item. There's also this arts and crafts brass planter that was sold. Again, wasn't sold for 30. There was a deal done as a job lot. This was sold some time ago, and it's an antique French silver tone tin wire photo frame. So let's just open that up, and you can see my product page. So I did achieve £45 for this. Not many of them around online, and you can look at all the different photos via the thumbnails on the left of the screen. It's got an original French card insert as well. That's a better view of it. There you go. It's from Paris in France. So we go back to the store or shop if you're in England. Also this antique arts and crafts period hammered copper dish that was sold. And scrolling down, this was sold a couple of months ago, and it's right on trend at the moment. It's a vintage mid-century G-plan magazine rack. Now, people actually use these for vinyls. There you go. They're really handy. You know, pick out half a dozen of your albums that you're going to listen to on that nice relaxing Sunday afternoon with a glass of wine or whatever takes your fancy, a cup of tea. And you can just stack them down by the side of your favourite armchair and listen away in peace to your favourite albums. Obviously, the albums weren't included in the sale. Achieved £65 for that. It was down in a little antique central sale from £75. And it's a G plan fresco teak magazine, or as I've listed it, a vinyl album rack. Okay, back to the store. What else sold? That's interesting. I've lost a photo for that, so I'll have to check that out to find out why that image has disappeared. Little ecclesiastical bell, brass, solid brass. Bit more unusual in that it has its hanging bracket with the original screw. There you can see it just there. So that could have been used as a Christmas ornament, I guess, because it was sold a few weeks before Christmas. And I achieved £25 for that. It was quite large as well. It was 17 centimetres in height, so a bit bigger than your average. Hence it being a little bit more expensive, but very nice item, and sold to a fellow Brummie, I believe. Brummie being the vernacular term for someone who lives in Birmingham, as I do, for the benefit of my American and international viewers. So there you go, you've learnt something there. Back to the store. Gonna race through these now, really, otherwise it'll go on forever. That was sold ages ago, that Welsh mine pit head model. Yeah, that was a decent little sale. Went as part of a job lot to an antique centre, a local antique centre. So can't really give you the price. I certainly didn't get £60 for it. As I say, it was part of a job lot, and there were about 30 items in total. So they would have got that for a good price to sell on themselves and make a profit, but it moved it on. I'm not keeping any of my stock now that I can't fit in my tubs. Hence, I did move on all of my large items. This antique distressed artist studio bar or tavern stool also went as part of the job lot to the antique centre because too big to go in my tubs. So bite the bullet, move it on, and then reinvest the money in new smalls. And when I say smalls, I'm on about items like, for example, this vintage cast iron terrier Scotty dog ornament. Lovely item, £35. And antique, vintage, hard to tell. I think I've listed it as vintage. Yeah, I have, yeah. I tend not to list as antique unless I'm absolutely 100% certain that it's antique. Clearly vintage, so someone could be getting themselves an antique cast iron Scotty dog there. £35 asking price. That's a good example of a small. It's 11 centimetres in height, and length is 13 centimetres. So big, and can easily be stored and easily shipped. That's why I only deal now in smalls. This is a pegged or jointed coffin stool. Now, these are called coffin stalls, if you don't know, because turn of the century, and I'm talking the 19th century, so throughout the 18th, possibly even the 17th, 18th, 19th century, these stalls were kept in people's houses, and when a family member sadly passed away, they would have the coffin in the house, so you could say your last goodbyes. And they used to use these stalls to rest the coffin on. Hence, they became known as coffin stalls. Now, I'm not saying this was ever used as a coffin stall, but that's the terminology for them. Peg joints, good quality item, oak, solid oak, and that went as part of the job lot to the antique centre. So here we had this Samoan carver fruit bowl. Now, I picked this up at an auction, and this sold again not for 90, as it was part of a job lot to the customer who made a large purchase for Christmas, so they got a good deal on it. I made a small profit on it, which is the nature of my business. And hopefully they were happy with it. And nice item. And this was A hand carved, antique, I think, of course, certainly vintage, carver bowl or fruit, could be used as a fruit bowl. And I think I've got a photo of it as a slightly overloaded, slightly overloaded with fruit. I like my fruit. And actually, if I've got to tone down on the amount of fruit I use in the photos. I have got a video if you want to check it out, showing how to overload your stock with fruit for photography. But I'm probably going to start loading a lot less, and I'll show you an example actually of one that is I think is a nicer photograph because it's got less fruit stacked on it. That looks like your local greengrocers, doesn't it? So I may well change that photo. So, but anyway, a carver bowl. It was used for sort of ritualistic or traditional ceremonies in the Samoan region of the world. And it's actually, they use it for mixing a sedative drink made from the roots of the carver pepper plant. It's crushed into powder and then mixed with water, and I guess it's you drink it, and the next few minutes of history, I would have thought. So, anyway, I doubt my customer will be using it for that. If you're watching and you are, well, good luck to you. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you are watching what you're using it for. Hopefully a fruit bowl. Up to you. See, you own it. It's up to you. Right. I'll show you one more item because, as I said, this could go on forever. This was the last item I sold, actually. And it's a vintage brass fireside companion set with a galleon design. Not too sure what the galleon or which galleon it was, but there you go. There's a little close-up shot of the galleon itself, which makes this stand out from your common and garden companion set. And this sold for £35, including shipping, don't forget. So goodbye for the customer. Again, I made a small profit, which is the name of the game in the way I'm working now. Right, so if you, as I've said earlier, at the risk of repeating myself, if you go onto the website, you can see all the stock that has sold recently. It's all still listed, and you can have a look through the photos and read the descriptions if you want to. And if you do, let me know in the comments below what your favourite sold item is. Now, I will, just for the sake of it, I'll show you a couple of the other pages on the website. The first one being the blog page. And as you can see, the last blog I created, or wrote, I should say, and posted was on the 7th of December. So I'm due one in January. And that was 11 antique and vintage Christmas collectibles. The one before that was RTV Antiques Programs Good for Business. Timeless Antiques and Eccentric Customers. That's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, that one. But you can, they're only short blogs. I mean, for example, if I show you this one. So they're only a couple of thousand words, so you'll read it in 5 minutes. I don't think people have got time now to spend half an hour or an hour reading an extensive blog on anything, really. So I try to keep mine to sort of 5 to 10 minutes in duration, reading time-wise. So have a look through them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And then the only other page I want to show you very quickly is the Knowledge Bank, which, again, you can read for yourself, but exclusively curated for the Antique Central community. Knowledge Bank is a comprehensive glossary of fact-checked terms and definitions that have been researched and compiled from trustworthy, open access sources over many years. And that's me checking them. The Film Vault is a collection of antique and vintage information films written and produced by the Antiques Central team. So there's the Film Vault. Now, to be fair, they do link to YouTube films, and then underneath there is another link to the YouTube channel. And then you can go to the Knowledge Bank, which I'm constantly updating. And in fact, the last time I updated it was the 2nd of January. So knowledge bank is all your terms and definitions. So again, if you've got a few minutes to spare, you've got a cup of coffee, you can just sit down, have a scan down it, and I'm adding to it all the time, and it will just give you a very brief description of terms and definitions relating to the antiques, vintage, and collectibles trade, including some designers, terms, definitions, and also some industry slang as well, which is quite interesting. So there you go. I'll stop scrolling. We'll go back to the homepage. And back to the office. So there you go. That's a very quick look at some of the items that I've bought and sold over the last few months. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, if you're a new subscriber, please let me know where in the world you're from and I'll add you to the digital subscriber list that should be scrolling across the screen as I speak. I don't need to know exactly where you are, just a rough location. And as ever, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.